friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited for today's video because it is about a topic that's a little bit more controversial, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be stirring up some intense reactions. However, I've been wanting to do this for a while, mainly for the reason that people very often ask me questions on this specific asteroid, or more so a calculation celestial point in the sky that we're going to discuss. So it's going to be about Black Moon, LLTH. Now I want to give a few disclaimers before I start this video. So once again, I've been asked so many questions over time about this one specific placement. There is a lot of, I think, misconceptions with astrologers, what it really represents, mainly because they don't necessarily understand what the LLTH represents herself. And I did my own original first-hand research on this. I found things that pretty much kind of like are at odds with what majority of other astrologers are saying. There's a few astrologers, I believe, who agree with my point on that, mainly from the Russian astrology school, and also I believe Lada Duncheva I don't know if she had a video or article. Let me actually look for it real quick. But there are a few people who agree with the results of also my research. So we didn't do research together, but what they found and what I found is pretty much in line. Now, I want to give a few disclaimers before we start this video. So first of all, we need to understand that there is a few different points of calculation of Black Moon. One is an actual asteroid. Then there is also a hypothetical point in the sky, which is similarly to white moon, is also a point in the sky that we calculate. There is a mean point, which is actually connected to the asteroid. And then there is also what's known as a black moon, is more of an actual just hypothetical point, what's so called. Now, what I also want to say, since those of you who are following me know where I stand on a lot of New Age misconception on something that first appears in Kabbalah and in Hebrew sources, which is LLTH, which in my opinion and my research is also a highly negative entity. However, what I want to say is that although LLTH and this Black Moon do have some similarities, it's not the same thing. LLTH is a very specific negative entity that we will talk more about. I will make a separate video about this. I will actually have few guest speakers actually who also are students of Kabbalah, who study different spiritual traditions and where she also originally first appears. So stay tuned for that. So it is a very separate entity, and the astrological point also represents it's not exactly the same. So I hope we are clear on that. Now, why do I not say her name completely? And also, if you guys watching my channel and if you trust my guidance, I highly recommend that you do not write or do not say its name in its entirety. I guess like writing it down necessarily is not the worst, but speaking it is negative, because actually LLTH comes originally as a Hebrew. It comes from Hebrew sources. It appears first in the Bible. It appears in Dead Sea Scrolls. It's mentioned a lot in the Zohar and Kabbalah. And basically there are certain entities, including angels, including certain what's called demons, which she is connected to, which names we don't speak, we do not say them. Because whenever we do, what happens, we invoke this energy in the world. And this energy represents harsh judgment. And what's harsh judgment? It's basically the force of destruction. Things like illness, things like negative deeds that are taking place in the world. Whenever we say the names of some of these very negative entities, we strengthen that energy. We not just strengthen it, but it's more like we are bringing it into the world. So you will ask me, why are we discussing this in this video then? Because actually what I discovered is also that some of these darkest points and some of this darkest energy actually have the highest potential for also, if we bring the light into that area, we can transform it into light. So ever since I started this crazy journey on this research, I've actually had some very funny and very interesting miracles happen to me in my life. And I think that by understanding where potential darkness is, instead of idolizing it, right, instead of worshiping it, like unfortunately many people in New Age community who I would say don't know any better do. When we transform it, we bring more light into this world. So concealed light actually is one of the areas where there is more potential for transformation. So this is why we're talking about this. And once again, we're not talking today about a demon. I don't think that black moon specifically is like any kind of demon or negative entity. However, it does represent in our birth chart, wherever it sits, the area where we have the most inner demons. We all have. There is no one person who doesn't have that energy in their chart. We all have potential for great light, for bringing and doing amazing deeds in the world. And we also have potential for, you know, having our spiritual short circuit, doing something maybe not necessarily good. No one is angel. Everyone has, you know, their shadow side. So there is that. It also represents an area where, once again, like I said, there could be higher potential for spiritual falling. So what we want to do is we want to understand where the potential dangers are, so we can inject more light into that area, go maybe even towards the position of the white moon in our chart, because it is representative of polarity of black moon. And I have video on white moon, check it out. I'm going to link it in there or whatever in the cards. Because the more we connect to our white moon, we don't have anything to fear about. That is our angel guardian. This is our primordial soul before the falling of humanity, which we can always connect to. And, you know, darkness dissipates when we connect to it. So there is that. In my research, contrary to a lot of other astrologers who like to say that it has to do with sexuality, fetishes, I find it not connected to it whatsoever. In my research, if you want to go towards asteroids, asteroid arrows totally shows you a kinky side. There's other asteroids as well, which maybe I'll make a video later on that'll show that. Other areas in our birth chart, but I don't think that this specific placement has anything to do with sexuality or anything like that. So there is that. It represents a lot of fears as well. Like, what are we deeply scared of? And we know, right? I'm gonna reference Star Wars. Yoda said that, what did he say? Fear is the path to the dark side. So this is why usually we have the highest potential to fall, to have our spiritual falling in the area of our chart that black moon represents, because we are more prone to be scared in that area. So when we will understand that right now, and when we will analyze this, hopefully, and I will go through all the 12 signs, we will be hopefully protected from this dark energy, and we will also know and become aware what is it we are transforming. And once again, check out your white moon, because I think it's very sad in spiritual community. Black moon is praised so much and everybody knows about it. White moon is, which is actually our angel guardian, our light. So little people talk about it. I find this very strange, but it's okay. We're here to, you know, fill in the gaps and do our part. So anyway, guys, what else do I want to say here before we go on? How to calculate it will be in the description box. Once again, there is a lot of different ways to how to calculate it. I would say go towards a black moon calculator. I think it's the more accurate. And once again, don't worry, we're not feeding the darkness at all. I think the only thing that feeds the darkness is when you start worshiping this energy. Like a lot of people, once again, New Age community completely misunderstand, I think. I don't know if they did their own original first-hand research or what, because, you know, I just don't see where the praise for it comes. What else? And yeah, once again, the biggest darkness has potential to be transformed into the brightest light. There is actually a concept in Kabbalah about something called concealed surrounding light. So, you know, it's very good. We are actually talking about this and transforming. So don't be scared for those of you who get triggered by that. And once again, if you are someone who also wants to make sure you don't invoke any kind of negative entities, just make sure you don't say that name completely. Just use the abbreviation, like LTH, for example, or L. My friend actually, who I hope to interview tomorrow, calls her Miss L, which I think is cute. And anyway, once again, we're talking today about asteroid and about celestial point. We will talk about actual entity, which is not this asteroid, in a different video. I also today on Instagram asked people questions. What do they want to know about it? So before we go into sign, let me just answer some of the questions on about what people asked. So people asked me about the black moon. What is its effect on us? So once again, everyone has it. It's just some people, I guess, would have it more prominent in their chart, others not. But really, its effect could be, It could represent our fears, our inner demons, even paranoia, and just any place where we are subject to lower vibrational frequency. So we need to be conscious and work towards transforming to the light and not idolizing this negativity. Also, somebody asked me, how does this placement of black moon from Instagram affect our romantic relationships? So it doesn't always necessarily affect our romantic relationships, so that's good news. It will affect, I think, romantic relationships mainly if it's in the sign of Libra, of course, Scorpio, maybe it's in the 5th house, 7th house, or 8th house, maybe even 1st house, when it's together with a personal planet, maybe like Venus. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it's affecting necessarily. Now, somebody's also asking, how can we heal this energy? So I think, and it's my opinion, that we can heal our darkness by embracing the light, by doing shadow work consciously, also consciously choosing to follow the light. Many people have a misconception about what light really is, and I don't want to get diverted in this video, but light is not like a lamp or the sun. Light is actually an energy. It's a force. Like, I think that, you know, Star Wars was a great movie in a way, because think of the Jedis working, you know, with the path of the light, right? It's not necessarily about colors. It could be, of course, but it's the energy force. It's the life force. Darkness in Kabbalah, for example, is what's so-called angel of death. So destruction and death, this is the darkness. Life, love, that is light. But anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked here. I'll make a separate video about this. So anyway, somebody's also asking, how important is it to know your to your birth chart and knowing your black moon traits for positive reasons? I think it's a good question. I think, once again, for the purpose of shadow work, knowing where you have a greater potential for spiritual falling, and because you know where you are more prone to fall, you can inject positive energy in that area and protect yourself. What else? Yeah, so anyway, that was the questions. I don't think there's any new questions that came in, but yeah, let's now go through signs. So once again, calculator is down below, and by the way, for those of you who want to study astrology with me, there is the links to my foundational course where I take you from the very beginning and show you how to generate your chart and everything in the description box. And there's also an intermediate course where we discuss deeper concepts. There's also a package that comes with a complimentary mini birth chart reading with me. Check it out as well. A lot of different options. I also have my private community here on YouTube, which we just started, but I'm already uploading and preparing a lot of exclusive content for my members. So if you want to support the channel and all the work that we've been doing here, please check it out. Now, a disclaimer as well. Examples I'm gonna be giving you in this video are some of the worst manifestations of what it could be, and the reason why I'm giving them is so that you know how bad or how ridiculous it could get, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's the thing. So if I say something in your chart, if I talk about your placement and I say some things which you definitely know you're not like that, great. It just means that you're following the light, you're connecting to the light that much more. All it means is that it just doesn't have power over you. You're consciously choosing to pursue a different side. And it doesn't have to be that way. Once again, I don't think necessarily people who even have black moon so strong in their chart and who follow that are necessarily bad people, because what it really, in my research, also shows, this is the area where they're deeply wounded, and they are just you know, acting out of pain. They're going because they're so hurt, they have so much of they disconnected from the light so much. Actually, their soul clings to the light. It desperately wants the light to shine on that area of their life. It desperately craves the light, but it's disconnected, so it in a way acts as this manifestation of darkness, you know. I don't know, like almost like it's a cry for help. That's how I look at it. So once again, don't get triggered. I'm giving you the worst of what it could be. It doesn't mean that this is what's happening in your chart. It could be manifesting a lot less. Once again, your whole chart is important, and especially if you do recognize some of the more negative, darker side in what I say, great, because now that we are shedding light on it, we can transform it and we can be better people. Anyway, without any further ado, guys, let's get started. Let's start going sign by sign. Alrighty, so black moon in the sign of Aries. This is actually one of them. I don't want to say like one placement is more negative than the other, but this one has to be potentially, if black moon is especially in the 1st house or in Aries, this has some potential problems. This person tends to have a very strong ego, and I know all of us have ego. But what happens with Black Moon in Aries, they very often think that the world revolves around them. They have usually been very wounded, perhaps maybe as a children. Maybe they grew up as being, you know, a person who is being picked on or bullied. Maybe they didn't have money growing up. Maybe they weren't very good looking. You know, everyone goes through this like ugly duckly stage, right, as a teenager or a kid sometimes. But there is something very wounded about their persona, where they just want to be a pioneer, they want to assert themselves, they want to win by any means. So the darkness potential for this person is that they don't understand where others are coming from. They don't really look at people around them as true friends or as or as human beings. They just look at everyone as how to say this, like this is the kind of person who could actually hurt others, bully even others, in order to succeed, in order to place themselves first. What this person needs to be careful with is that they have obsession, because deep down they're very wounded. They have this obsession of becoming first at everything. So this is, these people who just need to win by any means. Because see here also, Black Moon, since Aries is ruled by Mars, tends to bring the lower vibrational, the lower qualities of Mars. So what Mars is at its worst, right, is someone who just goes to war, wants to just hurt people, wants to just be first, wants to just win by any means. So this is what these people could be, if they're not careful, of course, do, because it's like they just have certain idea of themselves that they have to be first. Like in the career especially, like, or in any other ways, they can sometimes not even think of how their actions affect others, if what they do hurts others. If they need to, let's say, even sometimes there could be this tendency, if especially it's placed in career house as well, they might actually try to cheat in some way to just make sure they're finishing first in some way. So there could be, of course, sometimes even also strong emphasis on maybe even using sex as a weapon in a more negative way of that. And what's really standing out, they can really be the person who cuts others, what did they say, cutthroat, steps on others to just make sure they finish first. What we also need to understand here, since Black Moon represents the hidden energy, it's not something so obvious. You might not necessarily see it very clearly about this person. They might actually do it also in a hidden way, because once again, Black Moon is dark here. So a lot of these things they might be doing might actually be something that you might not immediately think they're doing. So even things like hurting others or bullying, they might do it in somehow very concealed way. And the thing is, like, if you have this in your chart, it's very important to face, where is this pain that's coming from? Why do you think that you have to hurt others, to step on others? Why do you have such, usually it's people with very weak identity. They don't have identity of their own. So whether they hurt others, whether they belittle others, whether they even, I don't know, like create fake persona or something like that. Of course, you cannot just see this from Black Moon and Aries. It needs to be other factors in their chart. Needs to ask yourself, why are you doing that? Like, you're not happy usually. If you're resonating with what I said, you must not be very happy inside, because there is this wound, and with Black Moon and Aries, these people, I've seen this in charts of some people I know very well. They are someone who just think they don't matter deep down, and there is this desire to prove others, look at me, you thought, kids in the school bullied me, they didn't think I was going to be good enough, but look what I achieved, look who I am now. So it comes from the pain, really. It's not necessarily, once again, that the person is like a demon or some kind of bad, because once again, what we want to understand here is that it is not a demon. There is a different, the entity that it's called, like the name that is used. Yes, it is a whole other conversation, not for this video. This is purely astrology here. So yeah, they could be selfish, of course, here. And once again, it all comes down from some kind of wound. It's not the same as Chiron in Aries, because see, the thing is, Chiron in Aries, yes, they have identity wound as well, but they're not necessarily going and hurting anyone. Here, a person is hurt in that area, and for them it's their identity, their persona. Even maybe there was some kind of aggression from a male figure in their childhood. male peer or any kind of man in their life. So there could be even aggression towards man with this placement, because once again it comes from the wound. And of course, if it's a man who has it, he will be just this kind of man who maybe get into fist fights with others sometimes, maybe will want to prove he is the best and go and also once again hurt the competitor or something like that, just to once again prove, you know, it's like a Napoleon complex of some sort. So there is that. Once again, look where the white moon is placed in your chart, because this is going to be something that could upset this energy. All right, let's move forward. So black moon in Taurus. I also happen to know quite a few people with this placement. Black moon in Taurus tends to, you know, Taurus represent finances, Taurus represent sensuality, Taurus represent things of material nature. So when a person has black moon in Taurus, obsession with money, greed, actually, you know, like in a Wall Street movie, greed is good kind of thing. This is probably like black moon in Taurus would say that. Greed could be a real thing here. I've seen this in the chart of people, and I knew somebody who had black moon in Taurus. Did he have it in 7th house? Who actually would enter relationships with others for the sake of also using them financially. It's, of course, you know, I'm giving you some extreme cases of people who are actually really living, unfortunately, that energy. There's people who have black moon somewhere, but they might not even, they either have transformed it, or they might just not really be, how to say, like they are living something else in their chart. But with black moon and Taurus here, the person could have, if there's other aspects in the chart agree, could have also very beautiful sensual appearance. With this placement, very Venusian. So here, black moon takes kind of the darker side of Venus, and they could use it for the sake of literally, you know, seducing, misleading others. Like maybe this person, whether female or male, could have a beautiful appearance, or maybe even some kind of talent in music or in creativity. But instead of, you know, kind of like bringing the light with it, they could be someone who could be using their body. Or I've even seen this musicians, you know, there's musicians who because they are, let's say, famous or whatever, they like would sleep with their groupies, you know, like use girls and stuff like that. No, of course, I'm giving you the worst manifestations of that. You don't have to be like that, but basically with this kind of placement, a person could sometimes go on a darker side using Taurus things and Venus things for doing not such good deeds in this world. And there is usually unhealthy relationship with money. So the person could be unable to maintain and achieve abundance. Yes, they could be constantly in this situation where the money just, you know, it seems like they're making it, but where does it go, right? There is just no permanent stability in this person's life. Or it could also be someone who is obsessed with money. And once again, it becomes this kind of greed is good type of person who just wants to accumulate money and material possessions. So usually what black moon and Taurus needs to do is to, first of all, look at their relationship with their body, because this is where it starts, and their relationship with money. What are their belief systems about physicality, 3D, finances, money? Because maybe there, if we, of course, once again, we need to look at the entire chart. There might have been certain ideas maybe a person has received even growing up, that, let's say, only, I've heard this many times, like maybe only like thieves make great money or whatever. There could be some even poverty consciousness that this person could have. It could go, honestly, with black moon and Taurus, either or. It could go either a person could become very wealthy with this placement, and they just kind of, you know, they have this incredible greed and they actually not using the money in a good way. But there could be even like eating disorders sometimes with this placement, addictions of some sort, because a person is trying to receive that pleasure. But once again, black moon, darkness can never be satisfied, because it's disconnects what's called, it's klipa, it's the energy of impurity. It can never fully feel the light, and only the light brings us lasting fulfillment. So there's issues usually, once again, with money, with material things. And the more a person heals Taurus qualities, look to where Taurus is in your chart, where its second house is, where your white moon is. This is how we can transform this energy, understanding that ultimately physicality is also sacred, just like non-physicality is. and we need to look at why do we have certain obsessions, why do we have such fear of either, you know, getting or not getting enough money. Let's see. Yeah, and you know, sometimes also, once again, material goods or pleasures, whether possession or rejection of thereof, could indicate some kind of hole in this person's you know, spirit, in a way, even that they're trying to mend. So in a way, kind of like here with Black Moon, it's all about rewiring your relationship with the things that Taurus represents. Sensuality, and usually, once again, on the 3D level, it manifests as something with going on with finances here. So once the person understands that really all abundance in this world comes from the light, and he really starts introducing healthier, more better belief systems when it comes to prosperity, that's where a big change could happen. All right, let's go to Black Moon in Gemini. Okay, Black Moon in Gemini. A problem here could be that, you know, if you would think, right, Black Moon, once again, is the darker manifestation of any energy. So we need to think what the lowest that Gemini can represent. At the lowest, it could be somebody who is two-faced, maybe somebody who is not honest, somebody who's using gossip, evil speech even. Speaking, you know, not such good things, like being dishonest. It could also represent trickster. It could be someone who is even involved in some kind of theft of maybe like intellectual property of some sort. This person could sometimes think that what they say is supreme to what others say. So they think that the way that like they present information and the way they communicate is superior to others. So this is the kind of person who somehow, like, if White Moon, for example, in Gemini, could use their words to uplift others, to really bring light to the lives of others. With Black Moon, this could be the person who with their words destroys, says negative things, brings negative speech to this world. There could be also nervous disorders with this placement as well. So a person who just has a lot of anxiety, a person who tends to maybe have some ADHD even. I mean, I'm not doing medical astrology by no means here. This is not to take place of any medical advice, but things like irritability, things like being easily triggered even as well could be also here. Sometimes this person says things that are not necessarily needed to say, and maybe even because of the things this person says, there could be conflict that could appear. So have to be careful with that as well. This person might sometimes want to, once again, the dark side could be that a person could lie even, you know, because once again, Gemini at its worst could be a trickster at its worst. This is a darker side. Not all Geminis are like that, most are not, but with the Black Moon, we need to look at the darkest of what it could be. So since Gemini is ruled by Mercury, Mercury could be a messenger of God, or Mercury could be a con artist and trickster. So here with the Black Moon in Gemini, there is that possibility for a person to be tempted to somehow to lie or take advantage of others, you know, what do you call it, sell a snake oil, stuff like that. So how do we overcome that, right? We look where Mercury is placed, we look where White Moon is placed. We also realize that, you know, our words have a lot of power. Actually, with our words, we have the capacity to create and destroy, not just create and destroy like energies in this physical world, but in the upper worlds, we can create either very positive forces, positive angels. Each time we speak positively, each time we bring light into the world, we can create positive angels. But every time, let's say, we gossip, and we all have this moment, by the way, not just Black Moon and Gemini, but we just need to understand that whenever we use our speech and this energy in a negative way, we create negative angels which bring destruction to the world. And this person with Black Moon and Gemini also needs to understand that sometimes actually the remedy is to listen to what others have to say instead of trying to constantly insert your opinion about things. Listen to what others have to say. Try to learn from others. Try to look at not so much, you know, Gemini represents this smaller, right, narrow places, while the Sagittarius, which is the opposite of Gemini, is bigger places. So what they need to look in a way is also the opposite, Sagittarius, and look at how instead of trying to constantly say something when it's needed, when it's not needed, they could actually take the moment and learn, because sometimes they could have this very narrow mind in some ways. Once again, look at which house is placed, everything needs to look at conjunction, is in conjunction with everything else. But they can sometimes be very limited in some of their ideas, and actually what they need to do is pretty easy. They just need to expand and open their eyes to other ideas. Black moon in Cancer, ooh. I hope you guys not hating me after this video, but with black moon in Cancer, a person can sometimes play victim, because Cancer here starts acting a little bit passive aggressive. So passive aggressiveness could be very much here. This person could be, you know, there could be actually with this placement, there could be a legit not such good relationship with mother or women in the person's life. Very often this person will be clingy, and you know, people sometimes say it's a stereotype about Cancer, right, that they are clingy. However, with black moon in Cancer, this is more true than what the stereotype about Cancer is. Actually, this person with black moon in Cancer will be very probably clingy in some ways, afraid to let go, and sometimes they could use emotional manipulation to to make sure others empathize towards them. You know, this person who plays victim, right? And very often people tend to, first reaction, let's say you see in a dispute or a conflict between someone, what tends to happen, and has been proven by psychologists, that whoever looks more like a victim, like the weak, like the oppressed, people tend to go and resonate with this person more and support and defend this person more. And many people who are manipulators know this very well, and this is the tactic they use. So I'm not saying, if you, let's say you're watching me, you have black moon in Cancer, that this is how you are, but you could have a tendency to be like that. If you do the shadow work, you will see that maybe sometimes you tend to do a pity party. And you know, sometimes they say, right, when we think of big ego, we think of all these people who are all about me, how great I am, how powerful I am. However, actually big ego can sometimes be also a person who constantly, you know, tells everybody, poor me, I need pity, I need this, I need that, because this is also in a way immediate gratification energy, stealing quick light because they so desperately need it, by making themselves look so miserable, so that other people would give you attention, so that other people would be like, oh, I feel so bad for you, I feel so sorry for you. So if you have this placement, be very careful to not try to, you know, emotionally manipulate others, because the thing is, it's only gonna bring more issues. It's not gonna really help you create that kind of home or the kind of relationship you want. Very often, once again, the source of pain comes from either relationship with mother or family members, or maybe even early childhood here. So, you know, it's like, it's all about embracing here responsibility, being more responsible for yourself, for your own feelings, for your own choices, and not constantly trying to make yourself like, oh, I need support by any means, oh, I need this and that. And people could be needy with this placement too. And you know, usually people ask me, right, which placements affect our love life. I know I mentioned Libra and Scorpio, but I think actually Cancer is one of the placements which will also affect especially more serious relationships. So you have black moon in Cancer, this can create issues in the domestic life if you don't, you know, do the shadow work on these things that I mentioned. Because here, when the person enters, let's say we have, right, our family as children, as younger people, and then we have also the family we create when we get married, when we have kids. So here a person might use some of the tactics of manipulation with the family they create as well. Sometimes it's not their, once again, fault. Maybe they have learned some very toxic relationship patterns, like relationship, how to say, like dynamics, right, in their childhood. So of course, where it was our first source of learning, right? Our parents usually. So then they sometimes unknowingly recreate the toxic dynamic once they're older. Okay, black moon in Leo. You know, similarly to, I don't think it's honestly black moon in Leo is the same as Aries, but this person could legitimately have some narcissistic tendencies, because once again, what is black moon? It tends to bring kind of the worst quality of that, the most shadow quality of that zodiac sign. It sits in so you know the Leo could have that. And also something I do want to mention here before I forget is that black moon is not necessarily, like many people think, oh, darkness is some kind of negative force that needs to be overcome. Actually, darkness is only the absence of light, and this is the area where we desperately need light so much. And because we cannot find it in a healthy way, we tend to go, you know, the path of the dark side, right? So anyway, black moon in Leo, a person who could be very arrogant at times, could have very high self-importance, like very, you know how they say, inflated self-importance. This could be a person who really constantly needs attention and praise. This could be a person who could be legitimately self-centered, similarly to black moon in the sign of Aries. This could be a person, once again, narcissistic qualities could be here as well. Now, once again, will every person with black moon in the sign of Leo be a narcissist? Absolutely not, right? It will just have some maybe narcissistic qualities, and then it depends how it's placed in the chart, what's taking place, if it actually manifests as a full-blown energy, or if a person chooses to go towards the light and cultivate different qualities in their personality. This person actually might be, and I forgot to mention this about black moon in Cancer as well, these people might actually not like family and children, because actually, as the entity that black moon is named after, she really hates children. There's a whole thing, once again, it's a different topic for different video, because she brings this, instead of white moon, which is the ultimate mother, black moon is the one who rejects motherhood. So black moon in Cancer, and also especially in Leo, could make somebody a person who either has a very toxic relationship or potentially have toxic relationship with the children, or this could also be a person who just doesn't like children, doesn't want to have them, which is okay, right? If you don't want to have them, it's everybody's choice. But this comes more from a bit more of a selfish negative side. Like a scenario could be where a person doesn't want to have children because it means they are not the most important person anymore. They have to make sacrifices for someone else. They don't want to do that. They could be someone who just believes they are born to be the biggest star in the world, and they don't necessarily think about that they need to work for it, that they need to respect people. This could be the person who might think they're just better than others. Similarly, by the way, once again, black moon in Aries tends to be like that as well. They just think they are better than others. They think that they are entitled to be. Black moon in Aries tend to think that they need to be first in whatever they do. Black moon in Leo tends to think that they are a celebrity who, especially if they don't achieve fame as a goal, they can become this very bitter person. You know, these people who watch sometimes, let's say, movies, and they say about every single actress or actor, oh, she has no talent, she slept with someone to get into this role, I could have done better. I mean, I'm giving you extreme examples, guys. If this is your placement, it's not necessarily how it manifests in your chart. Once again, I just want to make this really clear. But it's the worst of what it could be in a way, right? So now that you know the worst, now that you know how ridiculous it sounds, hopefully you're not gonna act that way, right? Yeah, I mean, also I guess like the more negative qualities of Leos could be showing off, look at me, I have this, I look like this, all of that stuff. And very often, once again, there is people, right, who do a lot, and ambitious is not bad necessarily, excuse me, but there is very often, like, you know, these people who feel the world owes them. These people could have this somewhere hidden in their chart. And maybe even, since Leo is connected also to like romantic and fun stuff, there could be a tendency to either go overboard on romantic relationships, serial dating maybe sometimes, or it could also be one of the things where a person just constantly needs everything to be fun and doesn't want to actually work for the things in their life because, you know, they believe they are the king, they already are there. All right, black moon in Virgo. Ooh. Their dark side is really what we think about Virgo, right? People who could be overly, once again, hard on themselves. But here it's more of up to the point of legitimate hurting themselves. Could be the person, in the worst case, once again, guys, scenario, who might set such unrealistic standards of perfections for themselves where you know, the people, right, who have, once again, not to say that it's about eating disorder here necessarily, but let's say people who go crazy on like plastic surgery, wanting to change everything about their face, or constantly on diets, or injecting, you know, different things. If that would be probably the placement if it's connected with women's Venus, or also on ascendant of a woman. But other than that, it makes somebody who is just very petty. You know, people who are very petty, like they are never happy with anything. I was actually watching a new show on Netflix, Emily in Paris, such a fun show. And in one of the episodes, she was dating this pseudo-intellectual guy who was just criticizing everyone, who was hurting everyone's feeling by just criticism. So this could be one of the manifestation here. This person is the original, also, what do you call this? People who use guilt as manipulation, or make others just look down or feel insignificant. There could be that kind of manipulation. So this is one of the also placements for somebody who could be very manipulative, because, you know, it's like certain details where maybe this person doesn't necessarily need to pay so attention to. What this person could do is, because they, you know, I mean, you know the word anal, right? So anal about something. Or also what they could do is, sometimes they could, because once again, Black Moon acts in a very hidden way. It's not somebody who acts like in a transparent way necessarily. What they could do is that sometimes they actually hide all their criticism that they use to destroy someone as an intention to actually help somebody to make better. We all know, right? People who are passive aggressive, people who sometimes you know, belittle others, but they're like, oh, I'm telling you this so you could improve. Once again, you don't have to be this bad, but be aware that the shadow side of yours this is what it could look like. But other than that, if you're not hurting anyone else, what could happen here is that a person could be like really addicted to being this very prim and proper, judging maybe others. You know, if somebody is not appearing in like if somebody is not maintaining specific image, or doesn't play or act according to certain standards that this person believes in, this person will really judge another very harshly. They are someone who is all about following, let's say if this person works in a corporation. Some of you will probably be checking this for your coworkers. If person works in a corporation, they could be someone who will be like about like the company code is this and this and that and that. How to transform this to, honestly, like with Black Moon and Virgo, these are the people who just need to connect to Pisces, which is compassion. Of course, look at where White Moon is placed, but also here with the opposite of Virgo being Pisces, it provides this antidote, which is all about compassion, forgiveness, not necessarily looking at everything from the perspective of I'm right, you're wrong. Because even if I'm right and you're wrong, I could also be a little bit wrong and you could be a little bit right. We all could learn from each other, right? So avoiding to also be cynical. Similarly also to Black Moon and Gemini, this is the person who could sometimes hurt others with their words. Mostly in this case it would be condescending remarks. And once again, if you are not hurting others with that, it could be an energy you use towards yourself. Like look at how you speak to yourself, look how you treat yourself, because all of what I said, you're treating others that way. You could actually not be treating anyone like that but yourself, which is even worse, because this is now you are like feeding this energy internally with yourself. I hope this makes sense what I'm saying. Okay, so Black Moon in Libra. Dark placement in a way where, yes, it's also ruled by Venus, just like Black Moon in Taurus. But here it's different. If a Black Moon in Taurus, it manifests as a greed, like they just want money, or sensual things. Black Moon in Libra could become condescending to others in the how you say this, elitist way. I don't know if you've ever seen movie Great Gatsby. Most of you have. Remember husband of Daisy, what was his name? I forgot, the polo player guy. When they had this scene, right, where Gatsby, Daisy, and whatever the gentleman's name was, when he was talking really down on Gatsby, where he was saying how we are all different than you. You were born, you know, in cheap dirt or something like that. So he was like this very elitist person, where he was basically telling Gatsby that no matter how much money you have, you are basically low class or something like that. So Black Moon and Libra have to be careful with, of course it might not manifest as that you are some kind of ultra rich aristocrat, but be careful also on if you have some condescending way of looking at others because you believe that you are, it could manifest in different ways. Maybe you believe that you are epitome of justice and you're the one who does the right thing and everyone is wrong. Or if you like, Libra is representative of judgment, it's justice scale, right? So many people think of Virgo as judgment. Yes, it is, but Libra is also energy of judgment too. So here a person needs to be careful to not set themselves up to a judge, because really they are not, you know. We can do our part to bring different perspectives if we feel we need to, but at the same time, really, we have to be careful to not be a person who thinks we are in position to decide the outcomes, unless you are an actual, you know, judge in court or something like that. This could be, of course, because Libra is relationships, and somebody asked me which placements affect relationships. This one could affect relationships. It could go multiple ways here. It could go that a person becomes obsessed with their partners, uses their manipulates their partners, or alternatively also attracts partners who are more manipulative, who may be more possessive of them. Maybe even there could be, if of course we're not going to see this just with Black Moon, because for some people this energy, once again, for some people this energy plays out strongly in their chart, for others don't. It depends on the whole chart, once again. But with Black Moon in Libra, if there's other aspects that suggest that in a person's chart, it could give somebody a tendency to be prone to extramarital affairs, yes, or attract people who could, you know, be connected to extramarital affairs. Now, once again, it's just one placement is not gonna make it or break it. So in the whole chart, and of course you have the conscious power to change dynamics by also choosing consciously light, choosing positivity, choosing your highest soul expression rather than falling, you know, into darkness. And that's when it doesn't touch you. But here with Black Moon and Libra, yes, a person could be someone who has maybe sometimes some issues in the relationships. It could also be someone who maybe rejects an idea of relationships altogether, you know, like women usually who go into extreme feminism. And I'm not against feminism, I think feminism is necessary, but you know, the extreme feminism where it says all men are evil and women don't need men at all and all men deserve, I don't know, bad things to happen to them, God forbid, or something like that. That kind of crazy feminism could be part of Black Moon and Libra. I actually knew somebody who was going through a very rough stage in her relationships, and when she was going through this kind of very radical, I would say, feminism, was when she was hurt by someone in a relationship, so she was just determined to destroy all men. So have to be careful with this placement as well. And also what sometimes could be happening here is when a person believes that their sense of culture or aesthetics or beauty is supreme to others, like, you know, for example, a man, or even like in beauty contests, or maybe like modeling or marketing industry, where people would say, oh, this woman is gorgeous, but this one is whatever, trash, and something like that. That kind of stuff could happen with Black Moon and Libra too. So be careful to not be elitist, be careful to not look down on others, be careful to not judge others and not set up yourself as a judge. Once again, just because I'm mentioning these things doesn't mean you are that way. It's where there is a potential for this shadow to be, but if you consciously transform that, it does not have any power. So there is that. These people could sometimes also look at how they are, how they feel, how they think, once again, their taste, as something that should be, example to others, while what others think maybe is not necessarily as valid. So they have to be careful with that too. Sometimes also one of the dark manifestations of this energy is that this person is very needy, like similarly to Black Moon in Cancer, which needs other people's affection, attention, or even Black Moon in Leo. Black Moon in Libra could be a person who sometimes couldn't live without relationship, like, you know, these people who are serial daters, or who go from relationship to relationship, or who only believe that their life will be complete when they will be married or something like that. Very careful with that. Anyway, Black Moon in Scorpio. This person, similarly to we will get to Pisces, has to be especially careful with the occult, because also for people who have black moon in the 8th and in the 12th, because there is a possibility of being misled. I mentioned, right, I have a video, I believe, that's called How to See If Somebody is a Psychic or Channeler or Medium by their birth chart. I discussed that I highly do not recommend people with weak 12th and 8th house to go too deep into esoteric matters, because there is a higher potential to deal with negative entities and to not have such strong protection. They will have, of course, it doesn't mean just because in their chart they don't have a protection that they cannot do it, but they will have to actually consciously create talismans, do prayers, and put extra work for this energy to not affect them negatively. So with black moon in Scorpio, just like black moon in the 8th or in the 12th, or also black moon in Pisces, this is one of the placements where a person has to be very careful when they go into the world of esoterics and occult. Why? Because they just tend to be attracted themselves to the darker side. Actually, I noticed people who were really like defending when I was talking about LLTH as a negative entity, because in Kabbalah, which I practice, where it first mentioned, the whole reason I'm only bringing her up, it's considered a very negative entity, and the people who were like very, like defending her had black moon in Scorpio, because there is that fascination, I think, with this femme fatale image, or with this like witchy image, or this dark queen image that these people have, that they kind of, without knowing, they do sometimes stuff that's not so good, because they are just seduced by it. There is this energy of even being seduced by darkness that this person could have. They could also be a person who is very seductive, or also something I want to mention about black moon in Scorpio or black moon in the 8th house. When they have sexual intercourse with someone, they have to also be extremely careful. Right, how there is exchange of energies, right? I do believe everyone is sensitive to it. However, there's people who will be very prone to catch spiritual attachment of some sort, and there's people who are less prone, who have, once again, more protection in that area. So with black moon in Scorpio, there is a tendency to also be a subject of connection with just lower vibrational frequencies during the sexual act, because Scorpio or 8th house represents the sexual act. So they could be someone who might, I don't have anything, by the way, to say negative about sex workers or anything like that. It's not my place to judge, but people who also could develop addiction to porn, addiction to even addiction, like an actual addictions as well in the chart, could be seen with black moon and Scorpio, because black moon really craves the light deep down, even though it's darkness. And Scorpio makes everything more intense. So these people have to watch out for obsessions, addictions. This could be the people who might have literally maniacal ideas about something, like they could fall in love, let's say fall in lust or something, and they could literally be to a point of stalking another person. Once again, what I'm saying here is the worst how it could be, but because we are exposing darkness into light, we are letting these demons transform, basically. So I'm talking about some of the more negative ways how it could manifest, so that you could be aware of that and not fall to that illusion. All right, sometimes it could be a manipulative person too, so somebody who might use sexuality or use even any kind of darker stuff to manipulate others. And of course, if it's like a person who is not such a good person, they could legitimately, how, right, in esoteric realms, there's people who work with the light, there's people who choose to work with the darkness, hurt others, associate with negative deities as well. So that could be a placement for that too. And how do they transform it? Well, by going, once again, towards the light, by letting go of control, letting go of their obsessions. Of course, black moon and Scorpio is a harder energy to deal with, because here not only it's ruled by Mars, which will bring this very aggressive energy that's hidden, but it's also ruled by Pluto, and Pluto ultimately is the most hidden planet. So here the shadow of a person could be literally so not necessarily suppressed, but like the shadow work will be serious in this case. Basically, you will need like good very powerful, therapist, shaman, maybe both, But not to say you cannot do it yourself, but like it's a powerful transformation that's available too, in a way, because Black Moon in Scorpio is one of the is one of this really placements which is like this ultimate darkness. It also means there is more concealed light there, just as the sign of Scorpio represents. So actually transformation for these people and choosing to go towards the light could be more powerful as well. Black Moon in Sagittarius. I honestly don't like Black Moon, if you've noticed, in the air in the fire signs the most, because you know how they say you add fire to the oil or something like that, you add something to the fire. So it seems to play out more difficult in fire signs, although not only. But with a Black Moon in Sagittarius, there could be corrupted spiritual beliefs, where, you know, these people who would, you know, like in let's say religious wars, where people say, oh, because my prophet says this and that, whatever, you will do that. Of course, this is not a representative of entire religion or belief system, but people who take it to extreme and people who think that their way is the only way could have this. They could be even like a person who misleads others because of some religion or some philosophy that they practice, or even a person who's like a professor at the university, but they once again somehow use their authority to corrupt actually others. But once again, this is the worst manifestation, that if you have that, you might not necessarily even yourself carry these qualities, but you have to be careful to not, you know, follow like I've seen actually, I think Black Moon in Sag with a few people who've been in actual like sects and actual cults. So there might be sometimes something just dark when it comes to belief systems. We of course need to see what's happening with the Jupiter here, absolutely. Where's Jupiter in place? Because let's say if Jupiter is in debilitation here, or Jupiter is afflicted in any way, yes, it could be very dangerous manifestation here. And very often ideological ideas could be the ones that, you know, come with some kind of corruption here too. So a person needs to be careful when it comes to spiritual path, needs to really look what they are actually following. Because just like Black Moon in Scorpio tends to be seduced by more, you know, darker maybe philosophies, so could be Black Moon in Sagittarius. And because Sagittarius makes everything larger than life, this person could also be prone to excess of any kind, prone to going, how to say, like whatever they do, they will want to make it bigger and more. Also, in the worst case scenario, it could be a person who is very intolerant towards others' cultures, like, you know, people who are racist, people who don't like other people's ideas or culture, or intermixing between different ethnicities. And races could have that. Once again, if you have that, it doesn't mean necessarily you have that, but maybe let's say if Black Moon is in 4th house in Sag, you could be growing up maybe in family which is a little bit like intolerant towards others' religions or cultures, not necessarily even yourself. But you do have kind of, let's say in that case, potential to also be like that. Or it could be some of your hidden shadow or even shame. Because I've seen this in somebody's chart. It's not necessarily you. Like, let's just give an example. Let's say Black Moon in Sag is in the 4th. Person growing up in a family of racists or a family of people who hate other people's religions. Now he himself carries a deep shame about their family, that they're that way. However, deep down, there's a shadow side that maybe has also some conscious beliefs. However, a person feels also a lot of shame. So here it will be very interesting, depending on other aspects in the chart, what do a person will actually do to transform some of these more shadow beliefs, shame, because very often Black Moon could manifest as shame as well, where what we feel ashamed of too. It could be one of the manifestation where we have fear, where we have shame. And also this person could be very scared of, sometimes maybe there is fear of travel, maybe there is fear of going to different countries or being exposed to different belief system. I've seen this actually in a chart of someone who lived all life in America and never went anywhere. This person didn't have only that placement, I believe he also had South Node in Sag too, and Black Moon in Sag. This person just was always scared to go outside of America and stayed in America all the time, and said that, like, I think he said the one time that he went out of America, he got stuck or had some issues with passport. something like that. So there could be fear as well, not necessarily hate towards other cultures. There could be fear of other cultures, fear, oh, this group of people will come and hurt us, you know, that kind of people could have that. But once again, if you have it, it doesn't mean that you are necessarily the way. There is many different ways how this could manifest. All right, Black Moon in Capricorn. All right, Black Moon in Capricorn. This one is interesting because as I think that White Moon in Capricorn tends to be at its weakest, I think Black Moon in Capricorn, maybe also either in 10th house, but I think it would be stronger for Capricorn itself, is actually very strong here. LLTH and Kronos have a lot in common with their desire to hurt and, you know, Kronos, we know, right, eating its child. But even, you know, with mythology there is some similarities. However, a lot with how it actually manifests with Black Moon in Capricorn will depend on a few things. It will depend on the placement of Saturn in the chart, on the placement of actual moon in the chart. It will depend also on the actual placement of the White Moon in their chart. It will also depend on whoever this person is with Black Moon in Capricorn, what kind of relationship they had with father. Because let's say if this father was missing or hurt a child and the childhood really bad, or if there was any kind of masculine figure that hurt this child will be, not child, but when they grow up, it will be out of control. However, if a father gave some grounding, gave some discipline, gave some love, not so bad. Maybe it will not play out as badly. So here, Black Moon in Capricorn will really rebel the patriarchy. In a way, once again, why it makes it so strong? Because LLTH, why feminists like her so much? There is a saga about how she was the original feminist, which is, by the way, if you were to ask me, is not true at all. This is not what Kabbalah says. This is not what Zohar says. This is not what Hebrew Bible, which is the Torah, says. All right, and neither what the first, I believe, mention of her, or one of the first mention was in Dead Sea Scrolls. Also, that doesn't say that really either. All right, so here she will really, he or she, especially if it's a woman, by the way, will really rebel against any kind of authority figures. In a way, it could be good. However, the problem is very often they feel that they're this person who doesn't need any structure or any authority. It could be, once again, not the best manifestation here. They could also have a relationship with older men, especially if it's a woman who is a younger woman. I mean, in the chart of a man, I guess, into same sex could be something similar too. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily a daddy issues placement, although it could be. But this person sometimes tends to have a lot of pain because they were either rejected by father, or there was just something about them where they felt they don't fit in the world the way it is. So they choose usually the most difficult career path they could find, because once again they have some kind of point to prove. And you know, self-destruction could be here as well with this placement. This person is all about also their goals, but once again, I don't want to say that Black Moon in Aries and Black Moon in Capricorn are the same, but Black Moon in Aries tends to be obsessed by finishing first. Black Moon in, let's say, Leo has obsession with being the most famous, while Black Moon in Capricorn wants to also be on top by any means. They are someone who wants to just become that CEO, even if it means screw somebody in the process. They want to achieve that status, even if it means by not necessarily doing such good means, because deep down, once again, there is this desire to prove others that they, and usually it has to do, once again, this will really strongly play out in the charts of women who have bad relationship with their fathers, or men who have bad relationship with their fathers, because there is a little bit of that, I want to prove my daddy that, you know, like I am not what he made me believe I am. There is a little bit of that energy. And these people could be extremely detached as well. Like when they are pursuing something, when they are in a cutthroat environment, they just turn off all their feelings. So in a way, with Black Moon here, see, once again, will depend a lot on what was the relationship with the father, I think here. There could be some wound here, And similarly, like as you know, with Black Moon and Cancer relationship with also the mother. And these are the people who also can sometimes have very unhealthy relationship with their work. They feel like what they achieved in their work is who they are, which is why they forget that it's not necessarily who you become in this world, but how you got there. How many people you have either elevated or, you know, hurt in process. They have this identity, like similarly to Black Moon and Aries, they have a bit of a weaker identity where they don't necessarily see themselves outside of their achievements, and it comes from insecurities, probably from someone who kept pushing them and pushing them. But once again, Black Moon and Capricorn, guys, check what Saturn is doing. What was relationship of your father? Because you might not resonate with that much. However, with Black Moon and Capricorn, there is certain obsession of also rising yourself high, rising to certain status, and achieving the goal by any means. Once again, these are the people who are not necessarily, because they are so obsessed to get to their destination, they might not necessarily always choose the better road. So if you have this placement, remember that even though you could be tempted to take shortcuts, even though you could be tempted maybe even to cheat others in process, or even if you can be tempted to maybe give up on yourself and on your true heart desires, because not always it's somebody who is bad. Maybe it's you're just tempted to, you have certain dream, but instead of that, you choose to pursue like something that will prove something about you to others. So just remember to connect to your heart, remember to connect to your soul, understand that these goals you're pursuing are not everything in this world. And of course, look where White Moon is placed. Let's talk about Black Moon in Aquarius. Also will depend where Saturn is placed, of course, and what relationship with the father was like. I talked to a few people today actually with Black Moon in Aquarius. Their theme of Black Moon in Aquarius is to rebel against anything. Similarly to Black Moon in Capricorn, they also don't like authority. But here they're just like, you know, they're just looking for freedom. They're looking for revolution. They are looking maybe to protest even. Not necessarily because there is need for it, but they are someone who is just like, let's just do it, you know, for the sake of it. Like there is not necessarily always an actual reason while Black Moon in Black Moon in Aquarius chooses to, you know, rebel or search for freedom or to go against maybe even what others say. There's not always a reason, but they just feel like it's almost like this where obsession comes in. And you know, they could be someone who could be, maybe sometimes with Black Moon Aquarius, it could be someone who's growing up or grew up or finds themselves in restrictive circumstances in life where maybe they don't have friends, or their friends could be very toxic. Maybe they just find themselves in some kind of confinement, God forbid. Maybe this person also just finds like they don't really belong or fit in with their culture, with where they are. They feel like an alien in their culture, and they want to rebel, and they want to go in a more rebellious, they want to go, they want to basically go against what everyone else is doing, because they just want to break free. I think the wound of Black Moon in Aquarius is that they feel deep down they don't have real freedom. This is why they search for that freedom in such a way as, you know, like a teenager who is rebelling. So they might be very numb but to what's actually happening with them in reality, because once again, this perceived Eight of Swords energy, if you will, in tarot, this perceived limitation that they feel like they have, sometimes it's real, but sometimes it's only in their mind, makes them just go and protest whatever they find on their way. So the way it could manifest is this person could have issues creating lasting relationships with friendships, pursuing their goals, because they just, you know, not like, there's one thing not confirming to anything, but there is also when it happens to the detriment of yourself, where you're just like, you know, living life like you don't belong on this planet, which of course cannot happen, right? So there is this desire to just constantly try to alienate even yourself from others, like where, once again, it could depend. Maybe you're really in the wrong environment for yourself, but very often this person just kind of like doesn't know where to stop. And this creates things like maybe a person cannot settle down because they reject an idea of any relationship or anything that's formal, because society adopted marriage, why does it mean I should do it? Or they cannot hold on to a job because, well, society created jobs. Who said that I have to work a job, you know? That kind of stuff could be here, right? If it's an extreme. Of course, just if you have Black Moon in Aquarius doesn't mean that you're that way. You could be someone, because you have other aspects in your chart and you're following a different path. You could be someone who actually is very, you know, level-headed person. But there is a little bit of that energy where deep down a person wants to protest and rebel against anything formal. So the worst manifestation would be like someone who's like an anarchist, who is just saying, no government, just, you know, let's just take food from a supermarket. Why do I have to pay for that? Or why do I have to do what others are doing? So that's, you know, of course, everything needs to be looked at context, but that's how it manifests. Also, something I almost forgot to mention, sometimes friends could be people, friends or community or social networks they find themselves in could be the ones who plant wrong ideas in their mind. You know, like, I mean, this is the worst example I could think of. Once again, it doesn't mean you're that way, but you know, like, I'm not gonna say this actually because this is too negative of an energy, but like when you find yourself around in the wrong crowd, what do? Wrong thing. So if it's a crowd that negatively influences you, friends that negatively influence you, you could also find yourself seduced, you know, by the dark side. Black Moon in Pisces. Black Moon in Pisces, similarly to Black Moon in Scorpio, is one that could manifest as a bit of a hidden energy, because as Pluto is, Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto, Pisces is co-ruled by Neptune. So Pluto and Neptune could be both very hidden energies. So we might not necessarily like fully understand where this darkness or where the dark side of the person comes from with the Black Moon in Pisces. Or it could also relate to people who have Black Moon in the 12th house. Very often they could see nightmares. Actually, this could be the people who could be visited by or like, it's not necessarily any entities. They could just see scary dreams. This could be people who could be very often, even if their life, like even if their like 3D life is totally fine, they could find themselves fighting some kind of darkness in their dream, if they're in their dreams. If there is other aspects agree on that, there could be also a lot of subconscious fears with this person. So of course we would need to look at everything in the chart to understand fully and determine whether it's like this or not. But what could happen with this placement is that very often person has a lot of unconscious, subconscious fears, a lot of obsessions, even a lot of mistrust towards others. They also have to be very careful to not let others drain and suck their energy, because they could be empathic, but actually they could sometimes attract people who are a little bit, you know, like absorbing their energy, sucking their energy, energetic vampires. So they have to really cleanse themselves from it. Also, Black Moon in Pisces could be sometimes lost in their dream world. Like this could be a person who totally, like, you know, it could be of course addictions as well, or some kind of drug abuse seen through that as well. But sometimes this person just lives in their own reality and neglects their physical reality. You know, all these people who have a whole separate life in 5D and a different wife or husband and kids and stuff like that, up to the point where it starts hurting their 3D life, where they forget to pay their bills, they forget to, you know, take care of their physical body. Like it could have that. This person could be prone to illusions, to some kind of, you know, secretive even things that are going on. In a way, Black Moon in Pisces is very hidden. So we also, similarly to Black Moon in Scorpio, might not be able once again to see that in a person very strongly, or also locate even this energy that well. This could be a person who is also very prone to, I don't say necessarily self-pity, but there could be just that feeling of being very small in this world. You know, sometimes, you know, if it's, let's say, Black Moon in Pisces in the 9th house, this person might have a messiah complex, like they the pure one, the martyr, and you know, their opinion is the greatest. You know, there could be some weird energy about also about, you know, like usually places of solitude seen from Pisces or the 12th house too, not necessarily there, but this person needs to be also careful with addictions, because there is just some of these tendencies to easier fall into that stuff here. They could have a fantasy world. They could sometimes idealize people if, let's say, Venus is there, or there's also similar energy with Venus in the person's chart. This person could have just this fantasy world about their love life, not see people clearly, romantic partners that they attract. And there could be like a more also potential to be misled, because similarly to Black Moon in Sagittarius, they could attract sometimes false guru into their life, because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter. They also need to be careful to not follow maybe some teachings that could be destructive to them. Of course, it's the lowest manifestation of this energy, but actually if a person finds the balance, because we need to go now to the opposite, the Virgo, right? If a person finds the balance between the physical and the spiritual, they could actually be the one who is capable of transforming a lot of their illusions, a lot of their fears, grounding all of that, instead of being all disconnected in the 5D. And they could be someone who actually has creative talents as well. Actually, Black Moon in Pisces, I don't want to say that it's better or worse. There's no such thing, but they could have creative talents. Many artists have Black Moon in Pisces. And, you know, they are also someone who could be prone to deceiving others or being deceived. It could go either or. So have to be careful with that as well, because there is, once again, there is this strong energy of illusion around them. They have to be careful to not become so ungrounded that they just disconnect from what's real, or like escape reality by using, you know, any kind of things that help people escape reality. Similarly to Scorpio and to Sag, they could have interest in spiritual esoteric matters. However, once again, it's like there is something here about disbalance really between physical and material. So these people have to be careful that, you know, they don't become so lost once again in some kind of belief system or in some kind of spiritual practice that they once again like give away all their money, let's say, to some charity center or to some I don't know, some guru or something. Because with Black Moon and Pisces, there is a tendency to, because they're not grounded, once again, they have no grounding, they go into extremes of that. And if you have this placement, I would just say that ground yourself and try to see where you maybe are just like allowing the illusion of things to present itself to you as the ultimate truth. Where is the fantasy world and where is the reality? How can you actually ground yourself? Where is the discernment? You know, there's such thing as discernment that could help. And of course, they do have interest in spirituality here, like I said before. There is interest also, they could be very secretive. These people have a lot of secrets, maybe even secret addictions or some kind of secret behaviors that are not the best. But once again, this is the worst of how it could manifest. I actually think because Pisces is a last sign, in a way this has also a lot of potential for transforming this into positive. So they could manifest a lot of these energies as creativity, if they find once again the balance between balancing themselves and try to not disconnect from reality. Have people maybe in your surroundings who are either strong in their earth element, who can ground you, who can tell you, hey, what you're doing right now maybe is not the best. You shouldn't go and, you know, stop working your job and just dedicate yourself to volunteering for free for some spiritual organization, or donate all your money somewhere. Because sometimes even donations could be seen there when the person doesn't understand what are they doing with that. So anyway, this is my analysis for Black Moon in Pisces and for all other signs. Once again, guys, I gave you like the worst of what it could be, because this is the ultimate shadow, this is the ultimate darkness. But when we discuss this and when we look at where the pain point comes from, how we can balance it, we actually, what we are doing is we're elevating this darkness, we are transforming it, and we ultimately connect to our light. We make a conscious choice to connect to our light. And once again, Black Moon is the fear itself, and you know how they say the only thing we need to fear is the fear itself. So once we are no longer scared of it, there is great, you know, it's a great spiritual technique of exposing your darkness. If you guys have ever seen me, the ones who follow me for a long time, I like to speak about my negative sides. I like to speak about my negative qualities, not because like I know law of attraction teaches something else. However, what I noticed every time I expose my negativity, you know, there is a concept, right, of confessions. I think Catholics do it. There's other religions who practice it. But sometimes when you expose your negativity like that, when you're like, you know what, I am very selfish, what you notice is that when it is exposed, it's no longer in the darkness, it's now in the light, you actually become less and less and less of that. So to fight darkness, we don't necessarily have to go into some kind of crazy spiritual warfare, right? Or become negative ourselves. But what we need to do is we only need to expose it to the light. You know how like in the movies vampires melt when the sun comes up? Something like that. We expose our negativity, we shine light in the places where it's dark, and the darkness no longer exists. Because if you think about it, in a dark room, one little flame of a candle, you know, and there's no more darkness, darkness is gone, the light is back. So that's how powerful it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, don't take anything personally. I know it could be triggering information, shadow work or anything like that can always be triggering. I only make this with the best intentions of helping you guys grow, step into your highest potential. And of course, this is from my research, this is my opinion on many things. Once again, I think a lot of astrologers completely disagree with what I said. However, most astrologers in the Russian school of astrology tends to agree. Eastern Europeans tend to also agree on a lot of things I said here. My research suggests that. If you have different experiences, let me know in the comments as well. I would be very curious to listen to this too. And once again, Black Moon, we all have it. But does it mean we all follow that placement? Does it mean we are all living according to this negative qualities? Not necessarily. So if, let's say, you hear something about, let's say you're checking about your boyfriend or whatever, it doesn't mean he's so bad. He sure could have somewhere as a shadow, but he might be consciously choosing a whole different path of the light. So once again, nothing to be scared of. It's we have potential to transform so much. I've been receiving channeled messages about the end of 2020 and 2021. We are transforming so much darkness, guys, right now. We are growing at such accelerated speed. Even if it doesn't seem like that, there is an illusion right now of, you know, things are not what they appear. So especially I think also with Mercury and Scorpio energy, where it's now great time for transforming all these energies. And it's of course also soon to be a month of Scorpio too. It's already October. If you like this video, don't forget to hit a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends. Don't forget, there is a membership community for all my private members where there's a variety of topics we will be discussing exclusively for the members. Join it. There's 3 options. Check it out. And I do teach astrology as well. I have 2 astrology courses currently, my foundational course and my intermediate advanced course. Check it out. There is also an option to book 2, and they come with complimentary astrology chart reading with me. So check it out. Thank you guys for watching this. Thank you guys for being open to different ideas than maybe what's currently being presented. I hope this genuinely has helped you. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all, guys. Only wishing you all the amazing things in life. We'll talk soon. Bye.